Hello, beautiful people. Today is 5th of May. My name is Sahil, and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Friends, Mahatma Gandhi says, what difference does it make to the dead, orphans, and the homeless whether the mad destruction is wrought under the name of totalitarianism or in the holy name of democracy? Guys, according to Mahatma Gandhi, the idea of violence is antithesis to the idea of ahimsa and cannot be justified for any objective. Guys, this particular quote reaffirms the philosophy of deontology, according to which not only the end but means also are important into the achievement of any particular objective. Guys, you can use this objective in your GS paper number 4 ethics whenever you are justifying that means are also equally important along with the end. So, guys, now let's begin with today's analysis. Friends, this is the page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper, and today there are no relevant news before the editorial section. So, I will be taking a couple of articles from the Live Mint, Indian Express, PIB, and News on Air. So, guys, the first article we are taking from Live Mint, News on Air, and the Indian Express. Now, friends, what has happened? Yesterday, the virtual summit of NAM was held, and this summit or this meet is particularly important. Why? Because of certain reasons. But before that, this summit was called as Online NAM Contact Group Summit on United Against COVID 19. Now, guys, this particular summit was important because this is the first time that the present Indian PM is attending the NAM summit. Earlier, the summits were held in 2016 as well as 2019, but both the summits were not attended by the PM, and this is the first time when any full-time prime minister did not attended the NAM summits. Now, guys, first I will give you a brief background about the NAM, and then we will discuss the present NAM summit, which has been attended by the PM for the first time. Now, guys, if we talk about the NAM, then the preparation for NAM started after the World War II. Now, guys, what happened after World War II? The entire world was divided into two camps. One camp was in favor of USSR, and the other camp was in favor of USA. So, the entire world was divided in two groups. And into this particular context, the newly independent countries of Asia as well as Africa, such as India, Pakistan, Burma, these countries wanted that what should be their stand. So, guys, therefore, in 1955, Banding Conference or Afro Asian Conference was held in Indonesia. And in this conference, it was decided that we will not be following any country blindly. Rather, we will have our own independent stand, and we will be forming a kind of a third bloc which is neither aligned to USSR nor aligned to USA. Therefore, principle of non-aligned movement came out, that we are not aligned. So, guys, here in 1955 principles were laid out, and finally in 1961 there occurred the Belgrade Conference, and in this Belgrade Conference finally the non-aligned movement was found out. And guys, in this particular direction, India was one of the founding member of the non-aligned movement. And guys, since then, the non aligned movement is pressing for an independent stand for the third world countries, and is talking about world peace, reforms at the global institutions such as United Nations Security Council. Moreover, it also talks about the sustainable development and the human rights. Now, guys, for all these deliberations, since 1961, the summits are being held into the different countries. And guys, the last summit was held in 2019 into the Baku, Azerbaijan. Before 2019, it was held in 2016, and both of them were not attended by the present prime minister. Now, guys, one important fact: has India ever hosted the NAM? Yes, India has hosted the NAM once in 1983. Guys, these type of questions have been asked for the BRICS. It has been already asked, so please keep it into your mind. Now, if we talk about the present summit which has happened, then what came out of it? So, in this direction, majorly three things happen into the present summit. First of all, Prime Minister called for a united response against the COVID-19, as he said that this is the most serious concern to the humanity. Then Prime Minister gave the philosophy of 3D, by which India was able to successfully fight with COVID-19, and these 3Ds are democracy, discipline, and decisiveness, and told that by using these 3Ds, other countries can also fight with the COVID-19. And then thirdly, a joint declaration was adopted in which it was decided that a task force will be created which will assisting the member countries in fighting against COVID-19 and will meet the requirements of each other. So guys, in a nutshell, this was all about the NAM, and very important for your GS paper 2 international groupings. Now friends, here's a news item on PIB, that is Press Information Bureau. Now guys, as per this particular news item, the Saras line or the Saras collection has been launched by the Ministry of Rural Development. Now guys, this Saras collection, it is a joint initiative between the government e-marketplace and Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihood Mission, which is under the Ministry of Rural Development. Now, friends, what exactly is happening here? We'll understand this thing step by step. First of all, what do we understand by government e-marketplace, that is GEM? Now, friends, it is nothing but just an electronic portal, e-portal, just like Amazon. Now, friends, government needs a lot of goods. For example, government ministries are there, public sector enterprises are there, other departments, local bodies. So they need day-to-day goods for their use. Now, what will happen here? As on Amazon, different seller post their items. Similarly, on this electronic portal also, different people can come and they can post their items, and whatever will be required by the government department, they will buy from this particular portal. So just it is the Amazon of the government. Now, guys, on this particular portal, Saras collection has been launched, and this Saras collection showcases the daily utility products which are made by the self help groups operating into the rural areas. Guys, just for brief understanding, if you don't know self help groups, these are the informal groupings where certain people come together and they choose to help each other so that collectively they can earn better livelihood and can meet their common objectives. Now, guys, this Saras collection is being promoted on the GEM portal by the Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihood Mission. Now, guys, this day NRLM is a program under the Ministry of Rural Development. Guys, this particular project aims to reduce the poverty into the rural areas through the promotion of diversified activities. It aims to provide self employment opportunities to the rural people. It also aims that the people should be organized into the self help group so that collectively they can reduce the poverty of each other. Guys, this day NRLM was earlier known as Ajivika NRLM and was renamed by the government in 2015 as Day NRLM. So, guys, I hope now you are clear about this particular issue. Guys, very important for your GS2 as well as prelims, as every year questions on schemes have been asked. Now, guys, we are into the editorial section, and the first editorial talks about the suspension of MP lads and why it is justified. Now, guys, before going into the editorial, we'll see certain things. First of all, MP lads stand for Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. Now, guys, this particular scheme was started in 1993, and right now it is under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now, guys, the nature of this particular scheme is such that it is a central sector scheme. It means that the 100% funding will be given by the center government. Friends, there are two type of schemes. One are the central sector schemes and the other are the centrally sponsored schemes. So into the centrally sponsored scheme, center gives a certain percentage, for example 75%, 90%, 50%, and other part has to be arranged by the state government, whereas into the central sector 100% money is given by the center. So MP Lads is central sector scheme. Now, guys, under this particular scheme, every year each MP is given 5 crore rupees, which he can spend for the development or welfare of its constituencies. Now, guys, there could be three types of MPs. One, MPs elected from Lok Sabha. Second, MPs elected from Rajya Sabha. And thirdly, MPs nominated from the both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Now, MPs who are elected from Lok Sabha, they can recommend that work into their own constituency. The MPs from Rajya Sabha, they can recommend the work into the state, in any constituency into the state from which they have been elected. Whereas the nominated MPs from both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha can recommend work into any constituency anywhere into the country. Now, guys, one more thing, MPs can only recommend the work, but actual implementation will be done by the district authority. They can recommend work such as belonging to the drinking water, education, electricity, energy resources, healthcare, sanitation, all these kind of works they can recommend by MPs. Now, one last thing, why right now we are talking about MP lads? It is simply because recently the central government has said that for the period of 2 years they are suspending the MP lads because they need to save money. Now, guys, into this editorial, five reasons have been given as why the suspension of MP lad is justified. Now, reason number one, it goes against the theory of separation of powers. Now, guys, according to this theory, there are three wings of a state. One is the legislature, other is the executive, and the third is the judiciary. Now, MPs, they are the legislators. It means they can make a law, whereas the execution of the law is not into their hands. Execution is with the ministers or the bureaucrats. But now, what is happening here? Under the MP led scheme, the MPs, they are being asked to execute the work, to suggest the work. So in a way, they are being given the role of an executive, which goes against the theory of separation of powers. Now, one argument is given for this particular thing, that the legislatures have only power to recommend, but we know that there is no executive, there is no bureaucrat IS officer who can defy whatever has been recommended by MP. Then reason number two is poor implementation, which has been suggested by the CAG. Now, guys, according to CAG report, in many of the cases, it has been seen that the actual amount which has been incurred is very less than the amount which was booked. So there could be the diversion of funds here. Secondly, it has also been said that under MP lads, it was said that the funds could be utilized for the creation of asset, but into the majority of cases the funds are being utilized for the maintenance of assets. Then, guys, there are other issues. For example, the work orders for the implementation are often delayed even after receiving the funds. The work orders are not released. Then contractors often do not have effective accountability. Many a times they go beyond their timelines, and there is no strict protocol against that particular thing. Moreover, guys, proper asset register has not been maintained. It could not be verified that what were the actual works which were taken or which were not taken. Then, guys, the third problem in MP lad is that there are gaps into the utilization of funds. Now, guys, according to a report by India Spends, which have used the data given by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now, guys, according to this particular report, it has been said that into the 16th Lok Sabha, more than 93% of MPs did not fully utilize the money which was given under MP lads. Moreover, there are large number of MPs which did not even spend a single rupee for the MP lads for the entire year. And, guys, if we take the data for 2014 to 2015, then it can be seen that only 16% of money of MP lads was spent. So there are poor utilization of funds, and there have been more than 5,000 crore rupees which are lying unspent into the different district authorities. Then guys, we come to the fourth reason, that many a times the money which is being used, it is either used for the appeasement of a certain section of people, or secondly money is most of the times given to the contractor which are the favorites of the MPs. Therefore there is a huge scope of corruption here. After that guys, the fifth reason is of the constitutionality. Now guys, in 1996 and repeatedly after that, petitions were made into the Supreme Court with respect to the constitutionality. However, Supreme Court in 2010 ruled that the scheme is constitutional, but it has been said that the court might have overlooked the issues which are there. According to the court, the scheme is constitutional because the purpose or the intentions are good, but on the ground the court failed to appreciate that the proper implementation is not going on. So guys, there have been majority of issues here, and many a times even a bizarre and strange projects have been taken. For example, there was an issue when by using the MP lads fund, a fountain was made into an jhuggi jhopdi, that is unauthorized settlement, and at the same time that jhuggi did not had even the provision of drinking water. Therefore, seeing such dubious record, it is being suggested that altogether the scheme should be terminated. So guys, this was all about this. Now we'll move to the next article. Guys, this particular editorial talks about how the role of FCI is relevant and what further reforms could be made in it. Now, guys, if we talk about the FCI, then it was established in 1964 and its primary responsibility was to ensure the food security of India by keeping the adequate reserves of food. Now, guys, going forward, FCI has basically two principal jobs. First, it procures the food from the farmers and gives them the minimum support price. And secondly, guys, the grains which have been procured were released to the poor people under the public distribution system. So it plays an important role. But guys, even after having such good mandate, FCI has been criticized because of certain reason. Number one, because of poor storage facilities, and this thing leads to rotting of food grains. Then second problem is of corruption, and the third problem is of inefficient management. And now due to these things, it is said that the FCI has become redundant. But guys, it is not the case. Rather, right now FCI is the only organization which can mitigate the food crisis of India and can feed millions of people who don't have any avenues to get the food grains. Now guys, it is being said that the certain reforms or considerations could be carried in FCI, due to which it can become even more relevant into the present times. First of all, we have often seen that large food grains are rotting into the godowns of the Food Corporation of India. In this particular thing, what could be the case? We should adopt the proactive liquidation policy. Though there is one, but it is not being actively followed. Now, guys, open liquidation policy means that when the food grains reach at a particular level, then the FCI can sell that food grain into the open market, and by this particular thing, food will not be wasted, and secondly, the storage facility will also be relieved. However, guys, liquidation policy is a generic problem of FCI and is not the concern right now. Presently, guys, there are certain other problems in FCI which are needed to be rectified. First of all, FCI's movement of food process is little bit problematic here. FCI is over reliant onto the railways because railways are cheaper and can carry good more efficiently. But railways do not come handy during the time of pandemic such as COVID-19, because then their movement into the last to the last pockets become restricted and last mile connectivity is not made sure by railways. Therefore, we should use the roadways such as trucks to make the food reach the states and to the last mile areas. But FCI is not actively pursuing this particular transportation method. Though FCI itself has recognized this particular fact also, but now it is high time that it should start acting on that particular thing also. After that, second reform which is required is the active positioning strategy. Now guys, it is evident that into the times to come there will be the panic calls of the food from the hotspot regions. So therefore, into the present time, the FCI should predict that from where the food demands will be coming, and into the nearby region it should station the shipments so that whenever the demand shoots up, the food can reach there into the no time. Now guys, FCI has the decentralized godowns into majority of locations. So what could be done? FCI can fill up these decentralized godowns and can make the food available to the panchayats and villages from here whenever the need arises. Now it will serve two purposes. Number one, it will mitigate the food crisis, and number two, it will instill a confidence into the people that into the bad times they will be getting the short supply of food. Now guys, after that, if we see into the present times, then the food is being distributed to the poor through the PDS, as well as right now the government has announced Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, under which additional 5 kg of food grains will be given. This is good, but guys, now government should look beyond this particular thing, because here the government, central government, is charging money from the state government, and because of this particular thing, state governments are apprehensive and does not takes adequate food grains because they need to pay. And in this particular thing, last mile connectivity or last mile reachability of food is often restricted. So if central government will meet the expenditure of the food, then the state governments can open up their arms and can make the food available to the farthest and the farthest pockets. In this particular direction, panchayats can be used. Moreover guys, government is running the national rural livelihood mission, under which various self-help groups are being promoted. So these self-help groups under an NRLM could also be used by the state governments to provide the food to the people into the farthest of the farthest pockets. Now going to the next point, guys, FCI uses the principle of first in first out. That means the food grains which came earlier, they will be distributed at first, and the food grains which came later will be distributed laterwards. Now this principle takes a lot of time and effort. Therefore it is being suggested that for the time being it should be suspended, at it will, as it will save a lot of time and effort. Now after this guys, there is one more issue, that presently farmers, they have their produce but they are not able to reach to the market. Why? Because the supply chain have been broken, due to which the food's movement is being restricted. Now FCI can also help here in this particular respect, because guys, there is NAFED. Now NAFED stands for the National Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation of India. Now, NAFED has a particular experience in procuring the horticulture crops. So, therefore, FCI can use NAFED in procuring the produce from the farmers, due to which the farmers can get the better price discovery. Moreover, guys, along with NAFED, there are also FPOs, which are farmer producer organizations. Now, these are the collective organizations which are made up of large number of farmers. So they could also be utilized, and by their channels, essential input items such as seed, fertilizer, etc. could also be made available to the farmers. So FCI could actually act as a coordinating agencies and can bring together various stakeholders for the welfare of the farmer class. Now guys, after that, one more problem comes, that is subsidy bill of FCI is huge. FCI is using huge money to give the subsidy or for their own expenditure, and that money is a kind of a wasteful exercise. But guys, if we look into the finances of FCI, then we will know that 60% of money is being used to pay to the farmers, that is MSP. It is also being used for the procurement, for the transportation, and all these kind of things, which is actually not the wasteful expenditure. Moreover, at the same time, FCI has huge debt because of the expenditure that is incurring. And guys, that debt is into the form of National Small Savings Scheme. So guys, into these schemes, whatever money is being coming, that money is being used by the FCI, and obviously the money is to be paid back someday. So right now it is a debt. So here it is being said that the government should come to the rescue of FCI and should provide money so that the debt could be reduced. Moreover, friends, recently the government has extended the scope of food grains. Now the additional food grains are being given. So it is being said that government should reconsider this particular thing after the summers once the pandemic goes down, because if large number of food grains is being given into the long term, then the food prices will go down and at the end of the day they will affect the farmers only. So all these are the reforms that are needed into the FCI. Now guys, in 2015 a report came which was prepared by the Shanta Kumar committee, and this committee suggested that FCI should altogether be shredded, it should be removed, and it should work as a agency for the research and innovation. But as we had seen into the present times, removing the FCI will not be the solutions, because it will be the only agency which will help into the times of crisis. So guys, this was all about this particular article. This is very very important article, therefore we discussed it so extensively. Please make a good note of it for your GS paper 3. So that's for all. Now we'll go to the next article. Now friends, here's a news item on page number 11 where the DRDO has developed a disinfectant tower. Now guys, this is an innovation to reduce the contagious infection of COVID-19. Now friends, often there is a problem that there are certain devices which could not be disinfected by the harsh chemicals such as computers, tablets, gadgets, machines, etc. So on those places this tower could be installed which will be disinfecting the entire region by using the ultraviolet UV rays. Now this particular tower has been called as UV blaster and is very much suitable into the high-tech areas. Moreover, this particular type of tower can also be installed into the region where there is huge inflow of people, such as at airports, shopping malls, metros, hotels, all these kind of things. So it will be passively be keep on killing the virus and other such strains. Guys, additionally apart from this thing, the recently Motilal Nehru NIT, that is Allahabad NIT, has also designed a viralizer. Now this viralizer is a kind of a portable box which can disinfect the inanimate items such as mobile phones, etc. Moreover, the vegetables and eatables can also be disinfected here. So guys, these things could be used as an example of indigenization of technology in GS paper number 3. Moreover, please keep this thing into your mind for the prelims also. So friends, now there are no much relevant news for the UPSC as I had told you earlier also. So that was all about today's discussion. I hope you are liking it. Thank you so much.